So here's a trap that many of us get caught up in, and that's blaming others for how we feel. So today's question is just going to hopefully help a little bit with that. So today's question, how do I stop blaming others for how I feel? So the inside out understanding is the core of what I share here. And that tells us that our experience is created 100% of the time from the inside out, not from the outside in. None of our feelings come from out there. Now, when you first start to learn this kind of thing, I think what happened with me was little bits of stuff fell away in some areas of my life quite quickly. So, for example, I find myself not getting upset with other drivers anywhere near as much as I used to do. I went through phases with that, and the first phase was, yeah, but they actually are idiots, and why are they driving like that? And then there was this sort of phase of, well, maybe they've had a bad day, and maybe they got out of bed the wrong side, and all of that. And then and now it's much more. Well, it's more complicated, but more simple than that all at the same time, really. So it's more complicated because I don't know what's going on in another person. I've got to put that down. We've all got to put that down. I'm talking to myself here, just so you know. I've got to put that down. That I know what somebody else's life is like or what's going on for them. But it's not really that. It's seeing that whatever they're doing, whatever anybody's doing, they're not choosing to do it in quite the way that we think they are. Everybody's actions and everybody's reactions arise from thought in that moment. And we've all experienced this. All of us have, me too, on a daily, hour by hour basis, where we do something and literally a second later we go, that wasn't really a thing to do, was it, Claire? That wasn't really very helpful. Generally with me, it'll be snapping at somebody or, generally snapping at somebody. I was going to try and think of the other main things, but that's the main thing. The main thing is somebody out there, in that moment, I'm blaming somebody for how I feel, and my reaction arises from there. Not because, and it's not because that person is deliberately making choices to upset me. Everybody's like this layer upon layer. This is the complicated bit. Everybody's little minuscule experiences going through life have formed who they are in this moment. And in this moment, depending on what side of bed they got out of, I remember a teacher, I think it was Clare Downham, once said something about your foot fungus can even affect your thinking. Your gut bacteria, your mental state, how much sleep you've had, what you ate yesterday, whether you drank alcohol yesterday. I mean, the list of things, I could literally sit here and just talk for 15 minutes about the things that affect how you're thinking. Your past, obviously, your previous experience, your childhood, the things you learned from other people around you who might have not said nice things or might not have behaved in nice ways, in inverted commas. They're all, it's so, and none of that, it's so complicated why somebody thinks the way they think, but that isn't separate from the choosing identity. Can you see, like there's all these layers of stuff, and in that layer, in those layers of stuff is the identity that chooses, which isn't fixed, which is why sometimes we make one choice and sometimes we make another choice. It's not fixed, it's moving about all the time. Now, when we see this, we can be so much more compassionate. We can really stop blaming others for how we feel. Because first of all, we've got this initial layer of, well, our feelings don't come from out there anyway. But also when we start to just look at the other person from this place of compassion, where we go, oh yeah, they are not making deliberate choices to upset me. we can start to shift our own perspective on the other person's behavior, and then the blame starts to dissolve. How can we keep blaming ourselves or others when no one is consciously choosing their thought created state? Nobody is choosing that, because I've just said it's too complicated. It's like there's this massive panel of buttons in front of us, and that we don't even know is there, and that we've got to click. These ones have got to be green, and those ones have got to be red, and those ones have got to be number 3, and those have got to be number 7. And in order to make us behave perfectly all the time, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. And this is how we dissolve this awful blaming. And God, it's still I'm sharing this for me and feeling it a little bit, because it's true for me too, this. I get so upset with other people still. I really do. And it takes me away from where I want to live my life. At peace, in peace. Not in a seeking, icky way, but just I notice it takes my energy, it takes my power when I can't see the innocence of other people. And also, that we tend to direct that to ourselves too. We tend to point it back at ourselves as well. But when we realize no one is consciously choosing their thought created state, we can maybe let go of that. Because that's where anger comes from, doesn't it? Anger comes from believing that that person should know differently, should have done differently, could have done differently even, because we believe that it's like they've got this panel from which they can choose the right behavior, and it's flashing with a big green light saying, I'm the right behavior, do this. And it's just not like that. It's just not like that. And the reason I'm so passionate about this today is because this is for me. My God, this is for me today. Because I'm still on a daily basis getting caught up in it. And honestly, for a little less time and a little less frequently. But still, it's a bit of a bane of my life, really. And it has been for so many years. But when you brought up in the 70s and 80s, you're brought up surrounded by judgment. Judgment is around us all the time. And we really, I really did believe for a long time that people should just be able to be better. They should know better. And I directed that at myself too. So we're here today to just drop that illusion that people can control themselves on the level that I'm talking about, where, it's a thought-believed reality in the moment, isn't it? And we don't decide which thoughts we believe in any moment. That's just not possible. What we're journeying here from judgment to compassion for ourselves and others, because, when the question is, how do I stop blaming others for how I feel? It's not just that, is it? Because we're blaming ourselves as well. But let's drop this illusion that people can control stuff on that level. Let's drop the judgment, and let's step into the space for understanding. In my last video, I talked about this question, what's my equivalent? This is another area where we're moving towards seeing the sameness between us and other people. And then, the other part of this is the anger that we feel when we really do say to ourselves, my God, what is wrong with this person? They should be able to do better. They're, for God's sake, idiot, that's your system, because that feels to me like this. It's like a volcano going off up my body. That's the nudge inwards. Always the sensations in the body are a nudge inwards. Not you don't have to fix the anger. You don't have to deal with it by doing anything outside. You don't have to deal with it by doing anything inside. It's just a remembering that you're doing the best you can. It's everybody else is, and it's a remembering to just to remember that it's time to look inside. It's time to be with ourselves. It's time to look after ourselves, because if we're feeling terrible, if we're feeling angry and upset with other people, that is because we're not attending to ourselves. And it's not a reason to fight or fix. It's a reason to look inside. It's a signal from the system. It's time to stop. I mean, for me, that's time to pause. It really is. So I hope that's been helpful, if a little shouty. I felt that was a little shouty today, but it's what it is. It's what comes out. But it's a subject I'm so passionate about, because for me, it's a subject that I need to look at. It's so close to my heart, shall we say. But I hope you find it helpful. And let me know if you have. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much for tuning in.